What's up, space pirates? This is your captain, the Dread Pirate, Dr. Disaster, and, you know, as I've said many times before, one of the best things in life is being able to tell someone, I told you so.
I informed you thusly.
The modern incarnation of Lucasfilm has completely fractured their fan base to the point that a majority of fans absolutely do not give a crap about Star Wars any longer. For years, Disney and their shills in the media have claimed that we are just a vocal minority over here in the camp that doesn't like what's happening with contemporary Star Wars. They have belittled us and mocked us, but we have the receipts now in a big way. As I'm sure you are all aware by now, the trailer for The Acolyte just came out, and it has been ratioed in an absolutely epic fashion. And that's not all. There are all kinds of signs which show that they have lost more than half their audience since they started making Star Wars content at Disney. Lucasfilm has been like the guy who rips ass in a crowded room and tries blaming someone else, but eventually that guy gets found out and then it's time to mock him.
My God, what is that smell?
He did it!
What is that? It smells like a turd covered in burnt hair.
It was me!
I know.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter as well. My handle there is Dr. Disaster1. But let's not waste any more time, let's check out this sweet, sweet ratio. The Acolyte trailer, released on the official Star Wars channel, got about 7.5 million views in the 2 days roughly since it's been out. But look at this ratio here. As of the time of this recording, it is at 154,000 likes to an astonishing 256,000 dislikes.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that is an awful lot of people who do not approve of your nonsense, Lucasfilm. I mean, it should be fairly telling that guys like me can have a YouTube channel that often sheds light on what these bozos are up to. Hating on Lucasfilm's dumb shit is practically a cottage industry at this point. But we've got a lot more evidence to support our claim that Lucasfilm has ground their audience down to a pulp. Let's take a trip in our time machine real quick, all the way back to 2017 and the release of The Last Jedi. You may remember, at the time, the media kissed that movie's ass, but the fans absolutely rebelled against it. It is sitting at an embarrassing 42% Rotten Tomatoes audience score, which I believe is fairly representative of how the fan base is actually fractured.
Those proportions are correct. Love to prove that, wouldn't you?
Naturally, the media shills argue about this all the time. For years, they've called us a vocal minority, but time and again, that has proven to be incorrect. Solo: A Star Wars Story was an abysmal failure. They blamed it on Star Wars fatigue. But in reality, it represented a backlash from the hardcore fans who were simply done with the franchise after The Last Jedi. But as I've said, I've got the receipts. The collective fan base gave Star Wars one more chance way back in 2019 with The Mandalorian. Word of mouth was pretty good on the series, and a lot of us, myself included, thought, you know, maybe this Jon Favreau cat can actually save this thing. But after the first 2 seasons, the wheels completely fell off.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
The ratio on this Acolyte trailer is so important because it crystallizes what I'm about to show you here. It correlates perfectly with what we see on this Google Trends chart. Now, many of you who have been with this channel for a while now will know what this is, but for those of you who are unfamiliar with Google Trends, it is a service offered by Google which will show you how often a search term is searched for in Google. Obviously, the more something is searched up, the more popular that thing is. The tricky thing with Google Trends, however, is that it does not show you the raw numbers. It won't tell you exactly how many times a term is looked up, but if you type in multiple search terms, then it will show you how well they stack up compared to one another. As you can see here, I've typed in all the various live-action Star Wars shows. That blue line spiking up on the left represents the first 2 Mandalorian seasons, and those 2 were the peak of Star Wars popularity on Disney+. As I said, we were willing to give the franchise one more chance. The premise of the show was good, and at the end of Season 2, we were riding on an extreme high after Luke Skywalker saved the day. Of course, then it all fell apart, and all the negativity set back in. The Book of Boba Fett, represented by the red line here, only reached about 24% of the peak of The Mandalorian. Obi-Wan Kenobi, represented by yellow, had a little bit of excitement as well at first. We were all pumped to see Ewan McGregor come back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it only hit 70% of Mando's peak, and as you can see here, it really fell off a cliff about halfway through the show. Nobody gave a shit about Andor, represented by the green line. Its peak only hit 24% of the interest of The Mandalorian's peak, even though I have heard it's actually a pretty decent show. But you see, the thing is, once Gina Carano got fired for no damn reason, once the Book of Boba Fett took the story backwards, and it seemed like Lucasfilm returned to its nonsensical storytelling ways, the fans bailed, and we went back to that split. I would estimate, based on the numbers that we are seeing here, that Lucasfilm has lost roughly 50 to 80% of their fan base that they started with when they bought the franchise. And they know it, which is why they are trying whatever they can to get us to come back. They're throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks with all of these upcoming movies that they are announcing, it seems like every other week. But getting back to it, you can see this spike in the blue line right here represents the 3rd season of The Mandalorian. The peak for the 3rd season is at only 36% of The Mandalorian's first couple seasons. Fans are dropping like flies. And then this tiny little line in purple over here on the right that you can hardly see, that's Ahsoka. It reached only 7% of The Mandalorian's peak.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Now, we can quibble over some of these characters being more household names than others, but the real comparison here is Mando Seasons 1 and 2 versus Season 3. Season 3 was only 36% of Mandalorian's peak. They dropped 64% of the interest of the first few seasons. I submit to you that the majority of the fans left after The Last Jedi. Some came back and gave The Mandalorian a chance, but when they dropped the ball, even more of us fled. As I said, I estimate between 50 and 80% of their fans are gone for good now, a clear majority, and that bears itself out with the ratio of the Acolyte. Many of us are so pissed and offended that we will simply watch a trailer just to hate on it. But I will leave it there. How much of the fan base do you think is lost from Star Wars these days, and how did you come up with your number? Drop your thoughts down below and we will discuss it there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.